Tonight, News 8 and Quinnipiac University kicking off an investigative partnership with an in-depth look at how climate change is changing the Connecticut shoreline.
Connecticut has more to lose from rising seas than any other state in America except Florida. News 8 Chief Investigative Reporter David Iverson and student researchers spent months poring over data and visiting communities up and down the shoreline. What they uncovered is alarming and important to all of us.
The water along Bridgeport's Long Point Beach brings Linda Duncan's hobby to her.
This is the shell beach. This is where all the shells are.
Duncan is well aware in a few years, maybe decades, this beach and where it sits now could be totally different.
That's sad. I wouldn't want to see it disappear. All the kids can't enjoy what I enjoy.
Bridgeport's shoreline is at a risk from a rising sea. The Long Island Sound breaks its banks more often, and when it does, it costs taxpayers millions. Superstorm Sandy cost Connecticut homeowners and towns $500 million. Now, Connecticut leaders want to brace for future storms by building more protection for coastline towns. Next month, the federal government is doling out $1 billion for towns and cities around the country to prepare for more frequent floods. Bridgeport wants $43 million to protect its south end, raising their streets and adding more drainage. New Haven wants $59 million to protect the Union Station area and add better drainage and protection for homes.
The direction is quite clear. There's more water.
In a first-of-its-kind partnership with Quinnipiac University, News 8 is pouring through thousands of pages showing how much money state and local officials expect to spend in the coming years responding to a rising threat. We reviewed decades worth of studies and plans, all looking at the same thing: how should the state handle a changing shoreline? Guilford came up with their own idea. They passed a coastal resiliency plan and have already started raising roads. Chaffinch Island Road was constantly flooding. In recent years, all it took was high tide. The town raised it 4 feet last month.
They're moving really fast. Every year it's very noticeable.
That's the only road to get to Brown's Boatyard. Owner David North says in just a few decades, he has watched the Sound inch into the land.
Resurface it every couple of years, and that adds an inch or two and probably keeps up or gets ahead of sea level rise.
Since 1960, water along the Connecticut coast has risen 6 inches. In the next 50 years, it's expected to go even higher. But exactly how high is hard to nail down. That's why the state of Connecticut is turning to a group of scientists in Avery Point to get a better prediction of what's going to happen.
If you're on the shoreline and you get flooded once a year now, then in some places it might go to 3 or 4 or 5 times a year, depending upon how much sea level rise we get.
It's much further inland, you can see.
O'Donnell and the staff at the Connecticut Institute for Resilience and Climate Adaptation are coming up with solutions and possible policy-defining predictions. What should towns do to protect areas at risk?
Because it's going to affect the real cost of living in Connecticut, and doing nothing has consequences.
Those consequences made Guilford act. It's why North has a freshly paved road to his business. While he calls it taxpayer money well spent, big changes in his mind should be left for the next generation.
My lifetime, I'm not worried about it. 150 years ago from now, yeah, possibly.
Partnering with journalism students from Quinnipiac, we have put together a one-of-a-kind website where you'll see this issue in a whole new way. We want to show you just one of them. On this map, you're able to compare Guilford between 20 years. See for yourself the changes to the coast on WTNH.com. We'll show you how it's been tackled so far and what to expect in the future. We want to hear from you. What should the state do in response to these predictions? You're able to sound off on the News 8 Investigators page on WTNH.com. David Iverson reporting for the News 8 Investigators.